Hello, welcome to the Game Dojo. I'm your triumphant host, the Game Ninja, aka that Red Shogun, aka the Ambassador of Team Red Shell. I want to welcome you today into my dojo. You pretty much know where you are when I give you the look around. So, what we're doing today, and this is my Nintendo second wall, is we're giving you a look inside the dojo, an intimate look at what just makes this thing special to me. See, I'm an original gamer. My gaming goes all the way back to the roots of Atari 2600, Atari 5200, and 7800, ColecoVision, Commodore 64. So literally on the first front lines of gaming is how far we go back here. And from the moment that I first saw those sprites, those amazing little pixels, something captivated me. And it didn't stop. From going over friends and cousins' house and playing Atari, to the invention of getting our own Commodore 64 and playing Mind Control and Pole Position, even to the handheld Tiger electronic games that you took to school back and forth. There was just something about this gaming world that captivated me. And as the times grew, so did the nature of this ability until we get to 1985-86. And I say that because the system that changed everything for me is Nintendo. That's right, the NES. I can still remember living on Waldorf Street, and my friend was the first one to get it, and everybody went over to his house, and it was just like the wheel had been invented. He put the cartridge in, clicked it down, and hit power on, and of course the game didn't run. For a lot of you who understood the times during that time, the struggle was real. And yes, you had to blow into your cartridge, use the alcohol swipe, rubbing alcohol swipe, which they swore did nothing and told you not to do, which always worked. Alcohol for us, it depends on who you were. Sometimes the blowing method worked, but there were no save cards, there were no save states, there were no save games. You did it all on one try, or you turned off the system, and that was the beauty of it. So everybody had their specific, unique method to getting the Nintendo cartridges to work. For us, Q-tip, rubbing alcohol, or one of them isopropyl rubbing alcohol prep pads, wipe it right in the side, put it in, it always booted right up, just completely up. Now, I don't know what defect at the time that caused the blowing into a cartridge, which killed many a cheek, many a heart, and many a lung, but it's a it's a thing that we all share, and original gamers share. And anybody who's experienced this by getting a reproduction or a newer NES, yes, the struggle is still the same. Now, I myself, I have gotten the minis, the mini versions, and yeah, technology is a wonderful thing. It's an absolutely beautiful thing. The minis brought me back to that nostalgic feeling of playing it, while now we can do it through HDMI, and there was no RF switch, and there wasn't no changing it to channel 1 or channel 2 or channel 4. um, it kind of takes the fun out of the struggle, because going back to those struggles, getting that RF switch, switching the TV, changing the TV to the right station, seeing that flash of gray and white and gray and white and gray and black. Then when you first get that game to pop on, which for most of us, it was what the game came with, Mario Brothers and Duck Hunt. And most of us came with the light gun. If you can't see it, I'll actually swap it around to you. I actually have that original light gun on the wall up there, along with the original NES controllers. Now, like I said before, you can see I have the minis up there, the NES and the Super NES mini. So, and here, I'll put it up there higher. You can see we have the Atari there. Okay. So, yeah, I'm still about that gaming life. But as I said before, sorry, and I digress. The original gaming systems is what fueled that passion. It's what ignited that spark. And whether you want to deny it, whether you are team PlayStation, team Xbox, team Sega, team 3DO, Panasonic Real, whether you're TurboGrafx 16, Sega Master System, anything from those beautiful beginning generations, I'm sorry. The king, the master, the head, the one that paved the way was Nintendo. It was. From the moment it came out, it didn't captivate people at first, but to children and people of a younger age, it beckons your mind. Those bright blue colors, that Nintendo slapping soundtrack of Mario, which, oh my god, to this day is still one of the most iconic songs. Everybody knows it. As I said, that was my first facet vision with this thing called a video game system. See, before when you had, put my glasses on, before when you had ColecoVision, Atari 2600, Atari 5200, 7800, they had the fun factor. They had the gaming aspect of it, but they didn't have the wow that this Nintendo Entertainment System brought. And just with the first game, it came with two controllers, so outside the box you can play with a friend, that light gun, that zapper, which was a world changer, and then Super Mario Brothers and Duck Hunt on the same cartridge. Now, most of the people favored more of the Nintendo side on the Mario Brothers side, which it was good. I can still remember that game, actually, because it's the only Mario game that I've never defeated. Yeah, I know. The Game Ninja himself. It is the only game I've never defeated. I've seen people defeat it. I've known people defeat it. But when I get to 8-4 and I have to go through the maze, the up, down, the middle, I could never get it right. I always run out of time and then I end up dying. You can check out some of my older videos going all the way back to 2000. Yeah, it's the only Mario game I've never defeated. Maybe one day I will record myself completing the Odyssey, but no. It's the only one I've never defeated. It is my white whale. If I am Moby Dick, it is my white whale. It's the only Mario game I've never beaten. Every single last other one I have defeated on every single last system. It's just the original Mario. But, like I said, it was all or nothing. You played, there was no save game. Of course, now we find out all of these codes and stuff now that you can go back and do things with that I didn't know about, nor I don't think anybody else that I did know about. But on the other side of that cartridge, you had Duck Hunt. And Duck Hunt was a game changer because it allowed you to be involved in the game, not just in the controller, but it allowed you to be inside the game to shoot. And many people remember the frustrations of that damn dog laughing at you every time you missed a shot. And if anybody's ever gotten past that level 8 or 9 or 10 where the birds are flying so fast, you just literally have to use the Matrix to kill those birds because you're not looking at them. They go so fast and they fly away. You get up, down, fly away. So fast, and you have to get damn near a perfect score to go on to that next level. But it was awesome. And I remember when we got ours Christmas morning and we were all sharing it and all playing it. We played that thing all day long. We barely even ate. That thing was just captivating. And then everybody on the street started getting one, and he started going over this person's house and playing that person's house. Oh, I got the second controller. Oh, let's play this, let's play that. And then these other smaller games started rolling out. The Zelda, the Metroid, the Donkey Kong, the Jaws, the Total Recall. All these games that went on to become very good games. But for me, the saddest part is I only had a very few Nintendo cartridges. Honestly, I can only remember playing a handful, about maybe on two hands. And out of all of those, I would say Rad Racer, Excite Bike, Mario Brothers, Mario 2, Mario 3, when it came out, which was the game changer, the cat suit and flying with the tail. I can still remember that commercial when I saw it previewed. It was literally everybody on Earth wearing different colors, literally shouting Mario, Mario. And then when the camera pulled back, you got to see the entire Mario face on the globe from all the billions of people standing together wearing the different colors. And I was just so stupid. Like, I was just like, oh my god, dude, how come I couldn't be a part of this? I want to stand out there with my shirt and look like Mario. But yeah, I got older and realized that they weren't really standing on the globe. But it's okay though, it's all right. But Nintendo started my gaming Odyssey for me. But it fell off after that. After Nintendo, I would say about for 4 or 5 years, playing with toys, going through a bunch of different things, I really didn't have the oomph for gaming again. That was until they came out with the two new systems. It was Sega Genesis and Super Nintendo. Now, around that time, I'd also heard about TurboGrafx. I had also heard about the Game Boy and Game Gear, and the Game Boy was absolutely amazing. Even though it had green spinach graphics, I can remember Mario Land, I can remember Tetris. Those games, just for hours, you just played them until your batteries died, and then you went and got new batteries. Those games had a fun factor that just, it's what originally hooked the first gamers, the first people who really want to be called gamers of the Gen X tradition. And Super Nintendo was the game changer for me, but it didn't really hit me until they came out with this game called Mario Kart. Yeah, the original Super Mario Kart on Super Nintendo. And let me tell you something. Every weekend, I would go to Blockbuster. My family would go to Blockbuster. They would get movie rentals. We would get game rentals. And every weekend, I don't care what games they got. I don't care what movies they got. As long as Super Mario Kart was one of those games. And I played that game religiously. I played the battle with my brothers and sisters. We did the races. That is where I fell in love with the turtle, the Koopa Troopa. I fell in love. And you want to know why we call ourselves Team Red Shell now? The Red Shell is the heat-seeking turtle, but if it was going to be Team Shell, it was going to be period, because the shelled character, the Koopa Troopa, the Koopa Paratroopa, the red, the blue, the green, they are my icons, literally. Every single last Mario Kart, with the exception of 64, which killed me. I don't know why y'all left the Koopa Troopa out of that one. But it's alright. Because you had Bowser and Wario. They were the heavier carts. They didn't take off so fast, but once they were up there and running, they were pretty much wrecking balls on the track. So it was still, Bowser was still a shelled character, but it wasn't my turtle. But like I said, that's going too far. So Super Nintendo, this Mario Kart thing, it was, I don't know if the makers of the Mario Kart planned on the type of warfare that the game provided, but the aspect of fun and evilness in that game, oh my god. It didn't matter if it was your brother, your sister, your husband, your wife, your daughter, your nephew. When you're behind somebody and they are ahead of you and you have a red shell, or even a green shell. I mean, green shell is skill. If you have the skill to shoot a green shell, a bank shot and a green shell sometimes will be your best friend. But that red shell, that little heat-seeking missile bumbling around behind your car until you just see it hit somebody, spin around, and then their coins go popping out. Oh my god, the joy, the sheer joy and admiration that puts into you. It was evil. Like, you just became evil. So much to the point that even now with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, when you're behind somebody, even if you're playing teams, even if they're on your teammate, when you're behind them and you have that red shell, it's just itching for you to no. And sometimes you just accidentally do. I'm so sorry, man. It was just instinct. I fired it. It's just something dastardly evil about those shells in Mario Kart. But that was the biggest thing, that Mario Kart game. And like I said, we probably rented that game more times to pay for it, maybe 7 or 8 times over. But it was always a part of it. And that Super Nintendo we got, man, oh my God. We took that everywhere. My brothers, my sisters, we played it everywhere. We had the little TV on top of the big TV because the big TV didn't work, but you had the little TV on top of it. But the Super Nintendo was right next to it. And though my older brothers and sisters fell off from it, me and my younger sister played the Super Nintendo a lot more, and then she fell off into the girl things, and I fell off into the guy things. And I would say the love of gaming was still there, but it was not as strong. It wasn't until about, I would say, about 1996 or 7 when my brother Felix, I had went over his house one day. I wasn't somebody who really went over people's houses, went over friends' houses, and did everything. Like when we were kids and we were gaming, if you on the same street, yeah, but if you across another neighborhood somewhere else, I wasn't going over there like to go play games. Like I wasn't that dude. So one day we went over his crib and he had what they call a ROM machine, where you take the cartridges and you just put them in this machine, and it copies the ROM and then it scans it to a computer. And at that time, I didn't know anything about emulation, fabrication, ROMs. I didn't know anything about any of that. So I remember sitting there watching him, and I'm watching him play Nintendo, but it was on a computer. It wasn't. There was no console. Like I was kind of looking to see if he had like the Nintendo hooked up or the Super Nintendo hooked up, but there was nothing there. It was just on a computer. And at that time, he was just showing me with the keyboard and mouse how to play it, because at the time, it was what it was. I mean, the technology hadn't evolved to the point of where you guys have it now, where you can just download a ROM for your Android and emulator for your Android and just go ahead and play it. At that time, it was minuscule in its aspects. Not too many people knew about the ROMs, emulation, reprogramming, and reconfiguring code for these actual games to play them on a PC, because they were invented on a PC. So he started showing me, and I was mind blown, just captivated. Felix Ortiz, that's his name. You gotta check him out. He does his own music station, Phil B. Jackson. Go check him out. Give him love. This brother is talented, both computers and musically inclined. But his music is just, wow, it's amazing. But I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Like, he had game after game after game after game, and in my mind, these games are $60 games. These games are $50 games, and you have 100 of them. To me, that was like, you're a rich man. Like, how in the hell is this possible? Like, you didn't go out to the store and buy these games. They were just there on a computer. And my mind just could, it was like witchcraft. My mind couldn't wrap around that chemistry of these games that I played at home, where somebody had to buy the system and we had an allowance, so we had to save up to do this and get a new game. But yet and still, here it was right before my eyes, all together there, right in front of him, and he was playing it. And I was captivated. So of course, every chance I got, I wanted to go over this cat's house. Like, bruh, he was my brother. Like, every chance I got, I want to go over his house. I wanted to hear this and see this and find out, yo, what is this world, brother, that you are in? Like, this is magic. Like, I wanted to be a part of it. He was the Doctor Strange, the original Doctor Strange to me. And for years, I watched him perform this magic. It was just, hey, it's NES. Okay, so this is the Super NES. Okay, we found the Sega Master System. Okay, we found the Genesis. Okay, we found this one. We tried this one. And he just had thousands and thousands of games, and I had never seen that before. Like, it was like the biggest secret in the world. It was like hackers. Like, we all see these things in movies, but this was right there, and I could not believe the witchcraft he was doing on this computer with these things. And I was just like, how can I be down? How can I be down? How can I just get down on this? Like, I want to do this. Whatever you were doing, I want to do this. And I remember he had a bunch of towers around, and this was a few years later. And he just picked up a tower and was just like, all right, watch this. And he like opened up the side, took the screws off. It was a compact Presario. And he's gonna laugh if he ever see this because he knows those are the most cursed cases in the world. Like compact Brazarios, oh my God, me and him have stories for days, especially when I became a system builder. Um, so we were, he took this computer apart right in front of me, and something so complex. It was like lifting up the hood of a car where you see the engine and all the different pipes and turns and facets and gaskets and belts. Like it seems, it's like heart surgery. Like you're opening up a body and it's like heart surgery. How can you begin to understand the complexity of all these valves and circuits and pieces and cords? Like it felt so foreign. But the way he showed it to me, I guess the aptitude that my mind had for seeing things and taking things apart, even as a young kid, I always took stuff apart to see how it worked and put it back together again. So I guess the way he had the same ability, so the way that he showed me, like I latched onto it almost immediately. Like everything would just plug and play. Like if you can plug a plug into a wall, you can pretty much build a computer. And he was just showing me all these pieces that snapped out. I mean, 4 screws to the motherboard, the memory slots, the processor, the hard drive, the power supply. Back then it was IDE cables. They didn't have SATA. It was IDE connections, the Molex cables. He just pulled this computer apart, and then he was like, all right, you put it back together. And I'm like, I think I could do this. And I put it in my hands, and the metal of it sitting on my lap and everything. And I'll never forget one of the first things he ever told me. I was touching the motherboard, and he was just like, you always want to be in a like, don't wear socks. Be careful on carpeted floors because the static shock from your finger is like a lightning bolt hitting that motherboard. Why you don't see nothing, just that little tiny bzzz is enough to blow that board completely out. And it was just mind-boggling, the little secrets and things that he had taught me with this. And once I put the computer back together again, it was just a feeling of completion. It was a feeling of power. It was like Frankenstein, like I had built a body from all these parts. And then when I plugged it in and it turned on, like I had built it. It was me. I had done this. And I was hooked instantly. From that point, I was hooked. And at that point, I had other consoles that I had bought from the store, and I was into gaming, but nothing held my attention like this PC because it seemed like it was limitless. It seemed like you could go as far as you wanted to. So we decided to build a computer, my first computer, my project. Nowadays, you guys have gaming computers, but back then, it was more about components. There weren't really gaming computers per se. You just had to custom build your stock from different parts that you could get and order and buy off of, Tiger Direct, Newegg, eBay, the very beginning of like Amazon and things like that. So my first computer that he got was somebody had dropped off a computer at his house and it wasn't working, and we worked on it together. A compact Brazario, unfortunately, but we had built it with a TV tuner card, which to me that was amazing because now I could watch TV on my computer. So my computer was great in the aspects that I had these little emulation games and ROMs on it, and I'm like, I felt like a king. I felt amazing. So at his house, we started having these little tournaments because around that time, Nintendo 64 had coming out, and there was an emulation called Project 64. Project 64 is Nintendo 64, and for those of you who've dabbled in emulation, there's the higher emulators, there's the intermediate, and then there's the lower ones, and there's your straight trash. Project 64 was above the rest. It's probably one of the best emulators on the market for Nintendo 64. So when we had done that, we had start to modify controllers because I'm not a keyboard and mouse guy. I mean, I can do it. I've done it, Call of Duty, other stuff, but I'm not a keyboard and mouse guy. Like, I was a firm believer that if you're going to make this game system on your computer, then give it like the full experience. So me and him started going through circuitry and rewiring, and we started modifying controllers to USB. So if you had a Nintendo controller, you modify it to USB, you can plug it into your computer, and now all of a sudden you're playing that Nintendo with an actual NES controller. And it just felt right. Like if you could map the controller, even now you can still map controllers, but it felt right. There was just something about it that felt right. So we modified some Nintendo controllers, and he's more of the hardware guy, and he was into music and other things. Like I was heavily into the gaming aspect, so I started to modify more and more controllers and look for adapters and things, because I figured if you're going to do the system on a computer, why not go all the way? Why not have the full experience? Like play it with the controller, the best settings. Like you want perfect or even better. And that's the thing about PC. You can go higher and better than the actual console achieved. And that's what the biggest draw with PC is now over console. A lot of people don't understand it because a lot of people are PlayStation and Xbox guys. But as of just recently, let's take a game like Gotham Knights. Gotham Knights is locked to 30 frames per second on PlayStation 5 and the new Xbox Series X, which, believe it or not, those little mini towers are built to go beyond those capabilities. So the fact that this game is locked at 30 frames per second is literally holding back, which is why I love PC. It's like unlimited power. Like you can push past those limits. And it's not just the thing. Like when people, I don't understand what teraflops are, and I don't understand what a RTX is over a GTX, over an AMD and NVIDIA. When you start to get into the build and the train of what is gaming on a PC, you slowly start to learn. I mean, not everybody's going to start. I mean, if you're a rich kid, yeah, of course, you're going to get the excellent build and all the money and the $1,200 and the $2,000 and the $5,000 video card. But for those of us on the grind and the struggle, we build from scratch through scratch, and we build it with what we want. We have in our mind what we want this thing to do, what we want this computer to do. And while everybody else was into this and that, I had been taught coding, I had been taught, the binary, C++, Microsoft. We had gone into all of these things, all these little programs and complementary programs that help this gaming aspect run. And then some of the emulators we found, fixing the code into it, changed the emulator to the actual run and made it better. For instance, there are some projects out there where the actual coding for the NES is actually the original coding that they used, and you can add to it and change it to the point where I did a video a few years ago where I did the NES Mini Mario Brothers. Then I did the original NES Mini Mario Brothers, because at the time, the Nightmare Creature, Lauren, she has an original NES. I didn't get one. I wanted to re-get one, but I had the Mini, so what was the point? And then I did the one on my PC, and I put the three together. And out of the three, the PC version that I had built was a hell of a lot better, both in color, functionality, sound, and quality. It was just amazing. So I kind of dove into the aspect of gaming, because now I was just like, you show me what was possible on the Atari, Nintendo, the Super NES, the Frito TurboGrafx 16, the Panasonic 3DO Real, which, let's just face it, that was a $600 system. At the time frame, ain't nobody rocking $600 to pay for no system. We did not have guap like that. We did not have money, and paper was not flowing like that, bruh. Are you kidding? This is the government cheese era. We were not rocking no $600 system. It ain't no way in hell you can get your parents to pay $600 for a Panasonic 3DO Real. Hell, let's be faced. There wasn't even, barely people could afford laser discs at that time, so that was just out. But on a PC, now this expensive project was put right into your hands. It was there. It was available. Now all of a sudden, these realms that you couldn't achieve in real life, you were able to meet and find those standards and be there. And that was the real excellent bursting of the seams for me, because now I was just like, I want it all. Now I want it all. Everything that's out there, that means it's possible. Since all those things are built on a PC, that means if we can find people, or find the coding, or find the actual programs that run into these things, that means we can make that possible. And with the ability of getting the digitalized versions of these games put into the virtual machine, we would never have to pay for a game again. Now think about that. And I understand, like, the people who make the games and everything, oh, we want the money, we need the money. I understand that 1,000%. And I still support it, I still buy it, and I still will. But on the same token, if I'm looking to test something out before I spend $70 for a piece of game, because let's face it, it's 2022, and I'm going to be real, and a lot of y'all ain't going to like it, but we have games now that are released that are unfinished. Let's not even go back into that Cyberpunk when it first came out. We have games that are released unfinished that they patch later on. What are you spending 60, 70, and 80 and $90? And if you want that day one edition, $100 and $160, what are you spending that money for an unfinished project that was put out onto the market? Because where we from, the project had to be finished in order for you to buy it. There was no patches for Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis. There was none for the original PlayStation. There was no patches in software. There was no DLC. PlayStation changed things with the memory card, so did 64, but there was none of that. So the fact that people deal with it now and they put up with it is bullshit to me, because I don't understand how a team could release an unfinished project on the market for people to spend their money on. Like, to me, that's invalid, bruh. That's disrespectful. Like, you're talking about gamers. You want to also talk about you being paid for the work that you do? Then finish your work. Like, that's like somebody at a car dealership. You go in there to buy a brand new car and they're just like, well, your engine's not quite finished yet, and this not quite finished, but it's going to be the same price. And you going to drive and leave with something with your car half finished? For somebody to be like, well, later on we gonna come in when we get the part, come in and get that fixed. It ain't a used car, it's a brand new car. Just like these games, they ain't used, they're brand new. So it's unacceptable. It is. It's 100% unacceptable by game makers to make gamers accept that. And some people don't understand the gaming aspects of when it comes to being an actual gamer. There are occasional gamers, casual gamers, there are e-gamers, there are elite gamers, and then there are literally special gamers. Some people, and I can equate this to the same, it's no different from drugs, alcohol, or weed, or anything else like that. It's highly addictive, and for most people, it is a way to get by. It is an avenue. It is another world to ease their stresses. It is part of their lifestyle. It is a community, and there are more gamers per volume across the world than any other category across there. You can say whatever you want to. And that means you, the mobile gamer on your phone, playing Brick Breaker, Solitaire, Bejeweled, Candy Crush, and everybody has fallen to a 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning Candy Crush saga where you've been there for hours and you just got to make that last one, even to the point where you're willing to spend $1.99 for them extra lives and extra moves so that you can get it on. Yes, you are a gamer too. Board gamers, yes, you are a gamer too. The people that play Dungeons and Dragons, yes, you are a gamer too. The digital gamers, for the people that just want everything online, yes, you are gamers too. Our console gamers, yes, you are gamers too. To our PC gamers, you are gamers too. And now our virtual gamers, you are gamers too. So if you took all those facets and put them together, they fall under one heading. It is called gaming and gamers. And there are more than a couple of billion across the world of people doing some form of gaming in their life. So with that kind of a number and that kind of a client base, you would expect to be catered to on the highest of standards. So releasing a game that is unfinished it's uncalled for, it's unprofessional, and it's disrespectful. So I see both sides of the fence on that. Yeah, I know you created a game and you want to get paid for it, and I don't have a problem buying a game, but I want a finished game. I don't want a game that I gotta wait. And that's another thing. We live in a time frame where you buy a game. When I grew up, we bought a game from the store. You pop it in your system, you play. There it is, right then and there. Now you buy a game and you got to spend 2 and 3 hours to download the game to your system, and then you got to wait for an update, and then you have to wait for the DLC pack. So now a game that was that you wanted to play day one, now you got to wait hours to even play it. And now you got to worry about servers being online and servers being correct. Like, you're destroying the aspect and the feeling of gaming. And that's why people rage, because these things are real to people. They're not just games. It's their life. It's their livelihood. This is how these people are living and adapting in a society where they can't deal mentally anymore. It's no different from somebody drinking to get their mind off of their problems, or somebody smoking to get their mind off of their problems. It's gaming, and the gaming is an aspect of taking you, your mind, your body, and your spirit and putting it somewhere else so that you can get that little bit of relief, that little bit of joy. And how would you rather see these people in their home on a system playing for a few hours because they got a dead-end job, their relationship ain't what they wanted, their finances ain't what they wanted? Or would you rather see them coming through your front window trying to steal from you and hurt you to make their life meet it? So, like, understand, gaming is also a therapy. It helps people, certain games help people with their mind and mental aspects. It helps them with their comprehension. It helps them with problem solving abilities. Games are more in depth than just gaming. That's why I hate when it's limited by just the name gaming, because it's not. There's so much more to it scientifically than anything. The same reason why you walk into a Walmart and they have scientists and psychiatrists design certain things and certain impulses to speak out in your mind and make you want to buy and make you want to grab and make you want to do this. These games have the same synapse popping for you in your head. Think about this. Let's take somebody who literally just, they don't like their job. They may not have the best circumstances in their life and their money, which we could all do better. We could all want better. Let's face that. And you take this person, and this person is treated like trash at their job, and they're holding on. They're literally just holding on. What is a healthier alternative? Smoking out and waking up with them problems again, drinking out and probably hurting somebody and doing something wrong, or somebody being engulfed into another world where they can be a savior, where they can save the world, where they can be that person that's counted, where for a few hours they are the people that they want to be. They are the people they dream to be. They are the people who they want to be. Now, what is so wrong with giving somebody the ability in their life to give them the move for another day? Mentally. There's nothing wrong with it. So I hate when people monstratize and demoralize gaming, saying how awful it is. And I'm not going to speak to all gamers, because there are some games out there that are, I mean, Grand Theft Auto, it pretty much promotes you jacking people, shooting people, killing people, prostitution, beating hood, drug dealing. I mean, yeah, I get it. I get it. It's not something you would want a 5-year-old to value in. But then again, on the same token, you have a game like Detroit Become Human, where they're teaching you the value of life and what really is life, both autonomously or real life. Is it artificial intelligence? Is it what's the word I'm looking for? Is it an imitation of life, or is it actually a form of digital life? Is it valid that it moves on its own, lives on its own, and learns on its own? Or is it something that the creator has given it to live out? Like, there's certain things out there and certain games out there that challenge your mind and change the way you think and you see this world and your life and how you deal with things. So gaming, on the aspect of it being just a game, you're minimalizing something that you have no idea of. So when I hear people say, well, it's just a game, I don't get it, it's just a game, how can you be on it all day? It's because you're not a gamer. You're not going to get it. It's not on your level. The algorithms aren't flowing the way somebody else's is. You know how many people play Tetris and literally every time they see a stack of boxes or organizing the car with luggage or doing this, they automatically start getting those synapses and thoughts back in their head, and now all of a sudden they can stack this better, do this better, and change this better because of Tetris that showed their minds how to be better organizers. So these things are learning. They're learning programs. The military, the Air Force, the Navy, train drivers, they have all simulations now where in digital gamings, simulations, they actually have to learn these things. You actually need a certain amount of hours of flight digital experience, simulation experience before you can fly, before you can drive, before you can do these things. There's a reason why these simulations exist, because they teach. They're teaching machines on a computer. You can call them games because they're available to people. The Microsoft Flight Simulator teaches you how to fly. And I'm not talking about a game fly. I'm talking about actual instrumentation fly. And if you've ever played it before, you got an hour to 2 hours of a pre-flight that you had no idea. But then the next time you're on a plane, you understand why it takes so long to get those processes and do this and do that, because you understand the process yourself, because you've lived through it. And that's the thing of these games that really makes them amazing, is that you're living through the actual experience. Whether it's you being a private in war, whether you saving the rebel universe, whether you fighting the Covenant in Halo, whether you're in Mario Kart. And that's another thing. Now with online gaming, you're connecting with people all across the world in the same time frame. You got chat headsets, you got typing, you have chat. So literally it gives you the ability to, if you weren't a person that could make friends, now you have friends. You have a friend base. You have a client base. You have an enemy base sometimes, because sometimes people get together in squads and squad each other, both like in Call of Duty or Halo or Apex or Destiny. Like, it gives you the ability to squad up and be with people that you can't be in real life, especially during times like COVID. That's where gaming really showed its aspect of what it really is, because people who couldn't do these things in real life, they live vicariously through electronically, and that's what made that even more of an amazing thing. So before I get too long on the aspects of this video, I just wanted you to understand my enthusiasm for gaming and how it came to be. So part 2, we're going to take place on how all this room, the game dojo, began. I'll actually give you a quick spin of the game dojo. And we will talk about how that came to be. So I am the Game Ninja. This is my game dojo. Thank you for joining me. And next time we're going to get into how this came to be. Thank you. Keep gaming. And I'll check you guys next time. Don't forget to like, subscribe, drop a heart, support the hustle. Because I do this for you. Even though I do it for me, I do it for you as well. So I'll see you guys later. Thank you for subscribing to my channel and showing me love. I'll take you guys out, nigger.